Espionage Elysée. The French government blasts Washington, saying that spying on allies is unacceptable. It's after WikiLeaks reveals the three most recent French presidents were all wiretapped by the NSA. With the EU preparing naval forces to intercept migrants, Libya's Air Force warns it will target any vessel in its territorial waters. And an image of Russia portrayed with claws and fangs appears in a Dutch school textbook, is triggering debate about whether the country is potentially being demonized. Midday in Moscow here. Thanks for joining us on RT International. I'm Rory Souchet with this hour's top world headlines. And Washington has been spying on its key ally of France. The latest release of top-secret documents from WikiLeaks revealing the NSA has eavesdropped on three successive French presidents, including the current one. Let's cross live now to RT's Peter Oliver, standing by for us in Paris at this very moment. Peter, good to see you this morning. Just after 11 a.m. where you are now, one would imagine that the headlines have been coming pretty fast. The reaction on the front pages?
Well, this has all been taken incredibly seriously here in France. François Hollande, the French president, has convened a meeting of the country's defense council, and spokespeople for the French government have issued statements saying that France will not tolerate any actions that it deems to be a threat to its national security. Also saying that it's simply unacceptable that the United States would have been listening in to the phone calls of the French president. Well, this is all over the media here in France right now. We've seen headlines coming out like the United States has no allies, only targets. The Élysée Palace was a victim of US ears, and many others suggesting that relations between Washington and Paris could take quite a severe hit because of these revelations released by WikiLeaks. So let's have a little taste of exactly what was in these released documents. Well, they include things like the fact that François Hollande in 2012 wanted to hold meetings with the Social Democratic Party in Germany. Now, they're currently part of the coalition government, but at the time, they were Angela Merkel's main opposition. And also phone calls suggesting that as far as France was concerned, the German Chancellor had pretty much given up on Greece remaining in the eurozone. Back in 2006, though, also there was revelations about Jacques Chirac's lobbying for who he wanted to see as the next UN Secretary General, and also the news that Nicolas Sarkozy wanted to hold peace talks between Israel and Palestine without including the United States. Now, the timing of this, all these revelations, is no coincidence. It all comes out later on Wednesday. We're expecting to see the French government approve new legislation that will make it easier for their security services to listen into and to wiretap suspected terror suspects. Now, this legislation's come in for big criticism from human rights groups here in France and also around Europe. So this coming out really no coincidence at the same time. But with regard to the actions of the NSA, world leaders have said they're not surprised at all. In fact, Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, was here in Paris on Tuesday evening for a meeting. He said he didn't expect anything less from the NSA.
I haven't seen the reports on snooping, but I'm not surprised at all. When we talked today, all the microphones would suddenly switch off and then switch on at the same time.
Well, this is just another example in what's becoming a litany of examples of the sheer size and scope of US spying here in Europe.
Indeed, RT's Peter Oliver there, live in Paris. Thanks very much for that update. Now, in the meantime, the accuracy of the documents released by WikiLeaks is yet to be confirmed, but the spokesman for America's National Security Council has insisted the US is not wiretapping President Hollande. He said a valid national security purpose is required to carry out foreign surveillance, though the NSA has been caught spying on world leaders before.
Ich habe, seitdem wir über die NSA sprechen, auch immer wieder gegenüber dem amerikanischen Präsidenten deutlich gemacht, Ausspähen unter Freunden, das geht gar nicht.
And one of the biggest controversies came when it was leaked that the NSA had snooped on the German Chancellor Angela Merkel's personal mobile phone. In 2013, top German politicians rounded angrily on Washington, warning of serious consequences. Though not just Angela Merkel, also wiretapped was the Brazilian president, Dilma Rousseff, who responded with outrage. And other major working world powers are on the list as well, including those who participated in these summits here back in 2010 in Canada. Now, NSA whistleblower Kirk Wiebe believes France has to be seen to react.
France is a little bit more independent-minded, at least from my perspective, than some of the other traditional friends of the United States in Europe. Germany, of course, probably along with England being the closest two allies. France, not quite as close. And so it will be very interesting to see if the French are actually willing to take steps beyond something that are just symbolistic of outrage. Do we really have the luxury to spy on our friends when we don't seem to have the ability to catch truly bad guys?
According to one new revelation, François Hollande has been worried about Greece leaving the eurozone since 2012, forcing him to hold a secret meeting that might upset the German Chancellor. The French president was so critical of Berlin's stance on the Greek crisis that he met the German opposition behind Angela Merkel's back. Well, the risk of a Grexit is still a very real one. Thousands already on the streets again in Athens protesting any new reforms. We'll report on that frustration among the Greeks a bit later in the program.